Welcome to another edition of News on the Hour. This is 60 minutes of action where we get you all that's happening in the world of politics, business, sports, entertainment, a power-packed show for the next 60 minutes where we bring news as it happens on the ground, facts on the ground, its stories as they develop. We look at all the top stories of the Prime Minister's events across the day in Assam as well as in West Bengal. Lots to look forward to in the next 60 minutes. Let's get started with the top stories. Prime Minister Narendra Modi heads to Assam to dedicate to the nation oil and gas projects and inaugurate as well as lay the foundation stone for engineering colleges in Assam. Prime Minister to also inaugurate several railway projects in West Bengal, including Kolkata Metro extension from Nawapara to Dakshineshwar. More trouble for Congress government in Puducherry ahead of the floor test today. One more Congress MLA resigns on the eve of the floor test. DMK MLA also resigns. Narayanaswamy's government strength drops to 12, 3 short of proving majority. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reaches Mauritius on a second leg of the visit to the Indian Ocean region to call on the President and Prime Minister of the island nation. Earlier, India-Maldives Inc. $50 million defense line of credit agreement and UTF harbour project agreement on the last day of Dr. Jaishankar's visit. India reports over 14,000 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours. 5 states including Maharastra and Kerala surge in new cases. Maharashtra reports nearly 7,000 fresh cases. Amravati administration announces 7-day lockdown from today evening. Night curfew imposed in Pune. Over 110,000 vaccinated. In international news, International Atomic Energy Agency strikes deal with Iran before the deadline of 23rd of Feb set by Iran. The UN nuclear watchdog to continue verification and monitoring activities for 3 months. However, right to carry out snap inspections suspended. Well, those were the headlines at the top of this hour. Now for the stories in detail, starting out with Prime Minister's twin visit to Assam and West Bengal. Prime Minister will be visiting both the states today to inaugurate various developmental projects in both states. Prime Minister will also dedicate to the nation important projects of the oil and gas sector in an event organized at Shila Patthar in Dhemaji in Assam. He will also inaugurate and lay the foundation stone for engineering colleges during the event. Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation and inaugurate several railway projects in Hooghly in West Bengal. More in this report.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Assam and West Bengal on Monday, bearing gifts of development for both states. His first stop will be at Shilapathar in Dhemaji, Assam. Here, Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation important projects of the oil and gas sector as well as lay the foundation stone for engineering colleges. He will dedicate to the nation the INDMAX unit at Indian Oil's Bongaigaon refinery, Oil India Limited's secondary tank farm at Madhuban, Dibrugarh, and a gas compressor station at Hebra village in Makum, Tinsukia. He will also inaugurate the Dhemaji Engineering College and lay the foundation stone for Swalkuchi Engineering College.
नॉर्थ ईस्ट को प्रधानमंत्री जी की एजेंडा में सबसे ऊपर है। जब से उन्होंने 2014 से काम संभाले हैं, विशेष करके नॉर्थ ईस्ट को उन्होंने ध्यान दिया है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट ऊर्जा के भंडार है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट पर्यटन के अपार संभावना रखता है। नॉर्थ ईस्ट बायोडाइवर्सिटी के एक बड़ा लैबोरेटरी है। ये सारा अगर एक आधुनिक समय में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के साथ जुड़ता है, व्यवस्थाएं खड़ी हो जाती है, तो यहाँ का जो मूल चैलेंज है एम्प्लॉयमेंट की, रोजगार की, इसी में से रास्ता निकलेगा।
These projects will usher in an era of energy security and prosperity and open bright avenues of opportunity for local youth. They are in line with the Prime Minister's vision of Purvodaya to drive Eastern India's socio-economic growth. In West Bengal, Prime Minister will inaugurate the extension of metro railway from Nawapara to Dakshineshwar and flag off the first service on this stretch. This 4.1-kilometer extension has been constructed at a cost of 464 crore rupees, fully funded by the central government. It will decongest road traffic and improve urban mobility. This extension will ease out access to the 2 world-famous Kali temples at Kalighat and Dakshineshwar for lakhs of tourists and devotees.
Project of extending of the north-south corridor has been completed and now we are going to inaugurate it. And this is a stretch of 4.1 kilometers from Noapara to Dakshineshwar. 2 new stations have come up, Boranagar and Dakshineshwar. And let me tell you that this is of immense importance to the people of Kolkata, not only of Kolkata, but of the adjoining areas, the adjoining districts also.
मेट्रो आएगा तो भीड़ भाड़ कम होगा, ज़्यादा जल्दी हम आ जाएंगे, ट्रेन टाइमिंग बहुत बच जाएगा, इसलिए स्टडी में भी बहुत हेल्पफुल होगा।
बस में बहुत भीड़ होता था जाने के लिए, दमदम जाने के लिए, उधर से मेट्रो पकड़ने के लिए, तो इधर मेट्रो हो गया तो आराम से चला जाता हूँ।
पहले जो प्रॉब्लम था अब नहीं होगा। बालीगंज से यहाँ आने का ज़्यादा सुविधा हो गई।
Prime Minister Modi will also dedicate many other development projects of Eastern Railway to the nation. These projects will ensure better operational fluidity, less journey time and enhance safety of train operations, as well as boost the overall economic growth of the region. He will also address a public meeting in Hooghly.
प्रधानमंत्री जी आ रहे हैं, इस पश्चिम बंगाल को सोनार बांग्ला बनाना है, क्योंकि बहुत दिन से ये वामपंथियों और तृणमूल के अंडर में था ये प्रदेश। इसका विकास जितना होना चाहिए हुआ नहीं। आज पश्चिम बंगाल पूरे भारतवर्ष को नई दिशा दिया है। आज यहाँ पे राष्ट्रगान हो या राष्ट्रगीत या पहले शहीद खुदीराम बोस, नेताजी सुभाष चंद्र बोस की कर्म भूमि, रविन्द्रनाथ ठाकुर की भूमि, ऋषि बंकिम चंद्र, तो ऐसी पवित्र भूमि, और इस भूमि पर आज भी यहाँ पर आप देखेंगे तो हर जगह संतरास चल रहा है।
Assam and West Bengal head for assembly elections this year. In West Bengal, BJP is taking out several Parivartan Yatras or rallies for change. From party president JP Nadda to Union Home Minister Amit Shah, senior BJP leaders have been visiting the state on a high frequency. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's public meeting is an important part of the party's poll strategy. Neeraj Singh and Shailendra Mishra's report, DD India.
Well, joining us for more on the story is our correspondent Mritu Smita from Guwahati. Also, we've got Rajiv joining. Well, Rajiv still not there, but Mritu Smita there with us. Mritu Smita, clearly this particular Prime Minister's visit, especially when it comes to, opening an educational institute, also when it comes to laying down a lot of, developmental projects there in the state. How do you look at this particular project, purely in terms of creating more employment opportunities, especially when it comes to the people?
Yes, definitely. As being from Assam, we have seen that there have been a problem of unemployment in the state in the past few years, and since refinery is the oil industry is one such industry where most of the population is dependent upon, be it from employment generation. So such projects which the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, this is the 3rd visit in 1 month to Assam. This is a great opportunity for the people of Assam, because it will generate employment, and people are looking forward to it, as the problem of the oil sector has been there in the past few years, as there have been speculation that maybe this sector is undergoing difficulty and such like that. So, because of which the Narendra Modi government has come upon to revive the situation, the oil industry basically, and this is a great opportunity for the people here in the northeastern region. And as the government is also in the past, after they have come to power, that low-caste policy is given more stress upon, because of which the infrastructure, the connectivity, everything is developing day by day. And if you talk about the maybe in the past 10 years, the development was very minimal, and now after the BJP government has come upon power, there have been various construction, in fact, infrastructure development, and if you see all the industries here are giving boost by the government, right from the oil industry to the employment, and also the tourism sector as well, which is given stress upon by the government. And yes, of course, if we talk about the engineering colleges, this is the 7th it will be the 7th one the Hualkuchi, the place where it's nearby Guwahati, which is the like heart of silk cultivation, where silk is famous, from where this engineering college will be the foundation stone will be laid upon. And being in Dhemaji, the engineering college which will be inaugurated, as there has been a problem of higher education in Assam, as people like students after completing the 12th boards, they have to move to other states of the country to get higher education. And such projects like engineering colleges, and this is the opportunity for the students as well, so that they can live at their home, and even people can also come here like from other states to acquire knowledge and the degrees in Assam. And so it is a developmental thing that is happening, and be it in the because there is election also around the corner, such things will definitely give a positive vibe among the people of Assam.
Madhusmita, Prime Minister has been saying it's always special to be in Assam. What's the special link, especially that the Prime Minister is talking here about when it comes to Assam, that he loves visiting this particular state?
Yes, because when you talk about Assam, it's not only the resources which are full of, which are ample here, like right from the oil sector, or you talk about the tourism sector, which gets a boost by this government. And yes, from the environment point of view, it is very eco-friendly. And yes, everything which we talk about here in Assam is beautiful. And yes, because in if we connect Assam is the gateway to the northeastern region, and from Assam only the connectivity is what we talk about, and to connect with the South Asian countries, which is the future of the in future the various business prospects are looked upon. So the government, the Narendra Modi government is looking upon those opportunities so that Assam is developed, along with which the nation will also develop with business with the other neighboring countries in the southeastern Asia.
But also looking at the way things stand, purely looking at the way things stand, this is a poll-bound state, but I'll come back to you and take your inputs on that particular story. Let's also shift and get Rajiv Bhattacharya on, as Prime Minister is visiting another state of West Bengal, that's a poll-bound state. Rajiv, purely this particular infrastructure development that's been put in place, how do you look at it? How is it going to be a game changer, especially for a state like West Bengal?
Right. Well, there have been complaints about the infrastructure facilities in West Bengal for a very long time, and boosting this metro services, which of course is part of the urban rapid transport system, gives a general overall boost to the infrastructure of the state. And not only metro rail, if we shift our focus from the metro and talk about the railway projects in the state, there's a third line being introduced and another connectivity from Azimganj, which had been the long-standing demand of the people of that region, Azimganj-Katwa line. That also is important in terms of bridging the gap, the distance, traveling time. All these things are being shortened. So therefore, if you have a greater connectivity, you have more people-to-people movement from one corner of the state to the other. Obviously, that's going to be give a big boost to the infrastructure development of the region, and particularly for the eastern side. And coming back to the metro, like I was saying earlier, that the metro is not only urban rapid transit system, but also the people of the surrounding districts of Kolkata use the metro on a daily basis. Before the COVID, it was one of the busiest routes of travel and transit in the city. And slowly it's picking up again and going back to its normal position. Now with greater connectivity, one more station added. The original plan of the metro is to have it go up to Barakpur in North 24 Parganas. That is of course a few years away from now. But we are halfway there with Vaccination. So that is a major step ahead in terms of connecting people and the surrounding districts people. They come here for employment, come here for studies, education, children, college goers, university people, and of course people who come here for work, daily laborers, wage earners, people working in shops and establishments here. It's a major boost for all of them. Anil.
Okay, also looking at purely, the Kali temple in Kalighat and also Dakshineshwar, two places that talks, which are symbol of India's great culture, connecting these two would bring, more tourists to this particular place now that there is better connectivity? Well, Rajiv, if you could hear me, purely two places that get connected with this Dakshineshwar and the Ma Kali temple in Kalighat. Do you somewhere feel that, these are symbols or vibrant symbols of India's great culture? Do you feel the connectivity would bring more tourists, especially to these two places? Well, I believe we've lost our touch with our correspondent there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Rajiv, with those updates there from West Bengal. Well, moving on now to the Union Territory of Puducherry there, where there is more trouble for the Congress government in Puducherry as the Chief Minister V. Narayanasamy will face a floor test as the special legislative of the Assembly will be held today. Two more MLAs, one from the Congress and the other from its partner DMK, have resigned in Puducherry on Sunday after the ruling party no longer has the majority. With the two resignations, the Congress government's strength in the Puducherry Legislative Assembly has fallen to 12. 5 Congress MLAs and a DMK MLA have resigned from the Puducherry Assembly in the last 30 days, while a Congress MLA, N. Danavelu, has just been disqualified last year. The strength of the House now is 26, with 7 seats falling vacant. The ruling Congress has 9 seats. It has the support of DMK with 2 MLAs and 1 independent MLA. On the opposite side, All India NR Congress has 7 seats and AIADMK 4. 3 BJP functionaries have been nominated as MLAs. Lieutenant Governor T. Soundarajan, who took additional charge of Puducherry last week, directed the Narayanasamy government to prove its majority on the floor of the Assembly before 5 p.m. today. Well, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has reached Mauritius on his second leg of the visit to the Indian Ocean region. He was welcomed by Foreign Minister Alan Ganu. External Affairs Minister's visit is being seen as an outreach effort to the nations of the Indian Ocean region. During his visit to Mauritius, External Affairs Minister will call on President Prithviraj Singh Rupan and Prime Minister Praveen Jagannath. External Affairs Minister will also meet the counterpart, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade, and Minister for Land Transport and Light Rail, Alan Ganu. During this visit, External Affairs Minister will review all aspects of the bilateral relations, ongoing implementation of various infrastructure projects being carried out by India in Mauritius. He will also hold discussions on bilateral, regional and global issues of mutual interest, including India's assistance to Mauritius. Well, for more on the story, we are joined by our correspondent Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, good morning. Abhishek, give us the significance of this particular, external affairs two-nation visit. How exactly is it significant? Is it in line with taking forward the Prime Minister's vision that he has, especially for these two nations in the Indian Ocean region?
In fact, as you said, that this is an outreach effort from the Indian government to all the island countries in Indian Ocean region, because we know that countries like Maldives, Mauritius, they might be small in geographical significance, but if you talk about strategic significance or other areas of cooperation, these countries hold a lot of importance for India because of the security matters. Though that is one part of the relationship, but on the other part, like if you talk about Mauritius, we have had historical and cultural linkages with Mauritius. Almost a significant chunk of the Mauritian population is of Indian origin, because all those laborers, they went as Girigitia laborers way back in 1800s. They are all there, and now they have become a substantial part of the society. The head of the state of Maldives is of Indian origin. The Prime Minister of Mauritius is of Indian origin. India in 2016 also extended almost $360 million worth of assistance in developmental projects of Mauritius. In which one of the ENT hospital was constructed, one metro rail line was constructed, few urban development projects were constructed. And those constructions came very handy when Mauritius was dealing with this corona pandemic. That one hospital that India had constructed was one of the saviors for Mauritian population when this whole corona pandemic has struck. Recently also we have seen that in Mauritius when this when one of the Japanese ship was struck on the offshore. There was a huge oil spillage, and India went ahead and help Mauritius to deal with that crisis, that environmental crisis. So almost all, for all the small and big development in Mauritius, India has always been there. And the Prime Minister's vision has been that the development of India, the holistic development of India will remain incomplete as long as its partner and friends' development is not the part of the story. So in that, with that vision, it seems like very much needed that India has been continuously reaching out to the needs and development of these small nations.
Okay, Abhishek, also considering the fact that, this is a testimony that India, in the importance that India attaches to these two nations, Mauritius and Maldives. Does it also occupy a special place, considering that, in the Prime Minister's vision of Sagar, that is security and growth for all in the region, especially in the Indian Ocean?
If you talk about Sagar, India has been, in fact, one of the countries which in recent years has developed itself from a grant provider, assistance provider, and one of the countries which has been the first responder for all these countries in terms of when there has been flooding, there has been any pandemic situation, or any developmental assistance. Recently, in Maldives, there was this water crisis, and India had sent fresh water supply to Maldives. Also, we have sent one of the cargo ships which has cold storage facility that will facilitate Maldivian traders to sell their seafood across the world. So we are trying to connect these countries to a larger market of the world also for their own way of developing their own economy. At the same time, if we talk about Sagar, these two countries have been strategically very important, and India has been one of the defense equipment provider and security provider to these two nations as well. We have seen in the recent, and that also augurs well for the Indian foreign policy, because India would not like these small countries which are situated at very geographically sensitive locations to become pawn of any other country also. Like we have seen, before the current government in Maldives, the other government which was very much in influence of foreign power which had created almost a not very healthy relationship between India and Maldives, and that was one of the concerns. With now a country like Maldives, we have seen, we had recently heard Maldivian foreign minister talking in Hindi, addressing press conferences in Hindi. That is really a signal that Maldivians do respect that Indian assistance, but they also want to connect with the Indian people also. If you talk about Mauritius, there is already a strong connect of diaspora and linkages of history. So while those nourishment, those linkages are, those linkages need to be nourished further, the deepening of political and strategic ties is one of the areas where the government is actually focusing on these two countries. Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us with those updates there, especially Abhishek Shah, correspondent tracking external affairs for us, joining us this morning with those updates on the external affairs two-nation visit to Mauritius and Maldives. Well, staying with that story, India on Sunday extended a $50 million defense line of credit to facilitate the country's capability building in the maritime domain. The agreement was signed after External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Mali on a two-day visit, held discussions with the Maldives Defense Minister Maria Didi. Apart from this, 5 agreements and MOUs were signed in the fields of infrastructure development, fish processing, public service broadcasting and development of sports infrastructure in Maldives.
मंत्री जी, उड़ान में एक पक्षी एक पर नहीं बल्कि 2 पंखों के साथ टीका रहता है। महामहिम हमारे 2 देश उन पंखों की तरह है। हम भी एकता में समान हितों के लिए एक साथ मिलकर काम करते हैं और एक ही मंजिल तक पहुंचने का लक्ष्य रखते हैं। हम जाने पहचाने रास्तों के साथ साथ नए रास्तों पर भी मिलकर चलते हैं। हम एक साथ और भी नई ऊंचाइयों को छूते हैं।
Abdullah Shahid, the Foreign Minister of Maldives, expressing his commitment to the India-Maldives relationship, speaking in Hindi, addressing a joint press conference with Dr. S. Jaishankar in Male. As the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar concludes his 2-day visit to the Maldives, much was achieved during this significant visit. India reiterated its commitment to the Maldives security and signed a $50 million defense line of credit agreement with it, to boost the maritime capabilities of the strategic island nation. The $50 million line of credit agreement for defense projects was signed between the Finance Ministry of Maldives and the Export-Import Bank of India. The signing of the agreement took place after External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held talks with the Maldivian Defense Minister Maria Didi, the Minister of Finance Ibrahim Amir, Minister of Economic Development Fayaz Ismaili, the Minister of National Planning, Housing and Infrastructure Mohammad Aslam. External Affairs Minister also called on the Maldivian President Ibrahim Mohammad Soleh and reaffirmed India's fullest commitment as a comprehensive development partner of the island nation during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. Dr. S. Jaishankar, who is in Mali since Saturday on the first leg of his two-nation tour that will also take him to Mauritius, has gifted 1 lakh additional doses of COVID-19 vaccine to the Maldives. India last month had provided 1 lakh doses of Covishield vaccine manufactured by the Serum Institute of India to the Maldives as part of India's grant assistance. Apart from the defense line of credit, the two sides signed various agreements, including one for a $25 million line of credit for development of roads. India also offered a $40 million line of credit to support the development of sports infrastructure in Maldives. India's Exim Bank and local authorities of Maldives signed a letter of intent on financing a housing project of 2,000 units at Hulu, Malé. The two sides also signed a memorandum of understanding for a grant of $5 lakh for a fish processing plant in northern Maldives. A MOU between Prasar Bharati and the public state media of Maldives on capacity building and exchange of content and expertise, and an MOU on sustainable urban development. Dr. Jaishankar also reiterated India's support to the candidature of Foreign Minister Shahid Abdullah for the post of the President of the 76th session of the UN General Assembly in 2022. The two sides reaffirmed their commitment to work closely on issues of climate change and combating terrorism. Bureau Report, DD India.
While tracking the COVID story, India's present active caseload now consists of 1.36% of India's total positive cases. India's total active caseload is pegged at 1,50,055. As per the latest update, over 1,699,410 people have recovered in India so far. India's recovery rate at 97.22% is amongst the highest in the world. Well, with the vaccination drive crossing milestones, the efforts to track COVID-19 are still going strong. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, a total of 21,15,51,746 samples have been tested for COVID-19 so far. Of these, 6,20,000 samples 6,20,216 samples were tested on the 21st of February. That's yesterday in a single day. 6,20,216 samples being tested. Well, total vaccination in India now stands at 1,11,16,854 vaccinations in a single day, 31,681. So clearly, India setting new benchmarks there when it comes to vaccinating its citizens. Well, moving on. For the first time in India, scientists part of the quantum experiments using satellite technology Quest project from the Raman Research Institute, RRI, have claimed a breakthrough that will enable safe communications across strategic sectors ranging from banking to defense. Scientists claim that this will be an important stepping stone towards the center's vision of connecting up different nodes in the country through free space and fiber-based channels. This is poised to revolutionize security for strategic sectors like banking, defense services, cyber security, as well as for applications involving the common man, which need to be kept safe from unwanted intrusions. Professor Urbasi Sinha, heading the project, said that this breakthrough is the first in India and it will help in communication. Secure quantum technology will be based on the principles of quantum theory, which explains the nature of energy and matter on the atomic and subatomic side. And it will control Its concerns will be to control and manipulations of quantum systems, and quantum computers store and process information using qubits. The prime factorization quantum algorithm can be used to secure communication lines there, and it's going to be much safer than the lines that are used till now. Well, we're heading into a short commercial break. Lots more lined up on the other side on News on the Hour. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back once again. Now, after this commercial break, what do we look next forward to, after those stories there, especially from the international stories? Now, an update on Myanmar situation. Ground zero, people in large numbers have attended the funeral of a young woman killed in protest against the military coup in Naypyidaw. Hundreds lined the streets leading to the crematorium in Naypyidaw, where the first casualty was laid to rest, while 100 more rode on vehicles trailing the hearse. Methok Khan was injured when police tried to disperse protesters earlier this month. She was kept on life support for 10 days but died on Friday last week. Meanwhile, in Yangon, hundreds gathered outside the US Embassy to hold a candlelight vigil for those who have died during the last 21 days of protest across the country. Well, 3 protesters have been killed during the protest so far. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has meanwhile said that the United States will continue to take firm action against authorities violently cracking down on opponents of the military coup in Myanmar. The U.S. Secretary of State in his Twitter handle posted a message, and this is what it says: the United States will continue to take firm action against those who perpetrate violence against the people of Burma as they demand the restoration of the democratically elected government. We stand with the people of Burma. Blinken's post came 10 days after the United States imposed sanction on Myanmar's acting president and several other military officers. Well, Britain also condemned the shooting on protesters in Myanmar. UK's Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab in a tweet said that the shooting of peaceful protesters in Myanmar is beyond the pale. We will consider further action with our international partners against those crushing democracy and choking dissent. Well, US regulators announced extra inspections on Boeing 777 jets using the same type of engine that shed debris over Denver on Saturday, while Japan went further and suspended their use while it considers what action to take. The US regulatory moves involving Pratt & Whitney 4000 engines came after a United Airlines 777 landed safely at Denver International Airport on Saturday after its right engine failed. United Airlines had said it would voluntarily and temporarily remove its 24 active planes of the type from its schedule. Meanwhile, Japan's Transport Ministry ordered Japan Airlines Limited JAL and All Nippon Airways to suspend the use of 777s with P&W 4000 engine while it considers whether to take additional measures. The Japan Transport Ministry said that a JAL flight from Naha Airport to Tokyo International Airport returned to the airport in December last year due to a malfunction in the left engine. That plane is the same age as the 26-year-old United Airlines plane involved in Saturday's incident. Japan suspends the use of Boeing's 777 jets. Well, gunmen meanwhile opened fire on the motorcade of Libyan Interior Minister Fatih Bashaga in the capital Tripoli on Sunday, but he escaped unharmed. The assailants fired heavily on Bashaga's convoy as he drove through western Tripoli after visiting the National Oil Corporation and the headquarters of the ministry's law enforcement force. Bashaga's guard exchanged fire with the attackers before pursuing them, killing one, injuring another and arresting 2 others. The attacks came as the internationally recognized Government of National Accord, that's GNA, in which Bashaga serves, prepares to make way for a new interim government selected in a UN-led process aimed at unifying Libya's warring factions. Well, worshippers and clergy at one of the world's biggest churches joined others to back a petition in Belgium to scrap rules which impose a 15% limit on attendance at Mass. They prescribe the rules as absurd. During the country's second wave of COVID-19 infections, the Belgium government decided to limit access to places of worship. While casting his ballot in the second round of presidential polls on Sunday, former president of Nikwa and electoral candidate Mahomet Osamane said that the election fraud would not be tolerated. Osamane is Nigeria's first democratically elected president and was ousted in the 1996 military coup. He is contesting against Mohamed Bazoum from the ruling party. Bazoum is seen by many as a favorite after leading in the first round on the 27th of December with 39.3% of the vote compared to Osan's 17%. Well, 3 people killed and 2 others were injured in a shooting at a gun store in a suburban of New Orleans. A number of law enforcement agencies were on the shooting scene at the Jefferson gun outlet in Meterere and were trying to understand what led to that particular incident. The initial shooter is also among the dead. Other people who were inside the shop also opened fire in response to the shooting. Well, hundreds of Haitians took to the streets of Port-au-Prince in Haiti on Sunday to demand an end to President Jovenel Moïse's term in office. Political turmoil has engulfed the volatile Caribbean nation amid a dispute between Moïse's administration and the opposition over when the president's term is supposed to end. Haiti's opposition claims Moïse should step down as his 5-year term in office expired on Feb 7th following the 2015 elections, which was disputed and the result cancelled by the Electoral Council. Moïse rejects those claims, arguing he took power in Feb 2017 after winning fresh elections in 2016 and has pledged to step down next year. Well, graffiti artists painted walls in Barcelona with murals showing arrows through the heads of former Spanish King Juan Carlos and the late dictator General Francisco Franco to protest jailing of rapper Pablo Hasél for glorifying terrorism and insulting the monarchy in his songs. The 9-month sentence imposed on Pablo has sparked a debate over freedom of expression in Spain. On Saturday, 38 demonstrators were arrested in cities across Catalonia after they smashed windows in emblematic Pla de Musica concert hall and looted shops. Last week, the Spanish government announced it would scrap prison sentences for offences involving cases of freedom of speech. All 7 on board the small Nigerian Air Force passenger plane were killed on Sunday after the aircraft crashed outside Abuja Airport. The plane crashed while returning to Abuja Airport after reporting engine failure en route to Mina. Dozens of military and airport officials were seen picking charred remnants of the airplane outside the airport. At least 2 people were killed and 5 others wounded when a bomb hit a police vehicle in Afghanistan's capital on Sunday. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. A rising number of blasts caused by small magnetic bombs placed under vehicles have occurred in the recent weeks, mostly in the capital Kabul, which many have blamed on the Taliban. Well, severe winter weather knocked out power in Texas and also has risen the energy prices. People have been facing widespread blackout. Nearly 30,000 Texans remained without power on Sunday. After deadly winter storm, what comes as a big relief for the locals is that the Texas Governor Greg Abbott has said that the utility regulators in the country will temporarily ban power companies from billing customers or disconnecting them for non-payment. Abbott estimated that power would be restored across the state by today. The governor convened an emergency meeting with state lawmakers after many customers said they are receiving bills for thousands of dollars for just a few days' electricity service, while Texas was gripped by frigid temperatures.
And the skyrocketing prices that so many homeowners and renters are facing is the top priority for the Texas legislature right now. That's exactly why I called that emergency meeting yesterday. Since yesterday through today, they've been working around the clock on solutions. It's exactly why the Public Utilities Commission put a stay right now, a halt on any further increases. And let me just repeat what I said to make sure everyone knows, and that is the Public Utilities Commission is issuing a moratorium on customer disconnections for non-payment, and they are also going to restrict electric providers from sending customers the skyrocketing invoices at this time. The legislature understands the importance of this issue and will work at great speed to fully address it. Based upon the speed that I've seen power get restored, I suspect that all power will be fully restored across the state of Texas to every house either later tonight or tomorrow.
Well, distribution centers were set up around Texas to help people in need of food and water. The food drive was a joint effort between the Houston State District and the Houston Food Bank. Volunteers handed out items including apples, tortillas and bottles of water to those in need. Well, more than 14 million Texans are facing disrupted water service. People are without water from pipes that burst in the freezing cold. Local officials and non-profit groups have organized water distribution sites where residents are queuing up to get clean water. Well, it is not just the Texans who are struggling to stay warm during a record-setting cold snap. Herds of cattle were also being kept warm there by fires burning in the oil fields. Barrels. The minimum February temperature usually falls to 5 to 9 degrees Celsius. Last week, the temperatures dipped as low as minus 14 degrees Celsius there in Texas. Well, tropical storm Dujan has been packing maximum winds of up to 65 kilometers per hour as it moved northwest over the southern Philippines. More than 5,000 people have fled to temporary shelters there in the southern Philippines as the tropical storm Dujan brought heavy rain, submerging dozens of villages. The country's disaster risk reduction and management agency said that 2 regions were hit by storm, and these include the country's nickel mining hub of Caraga, with floods damaging some houses and bridges in the province of Surigao del Sur. But the UN nuclear watchdog said that Iran has agreed to extend UN inspectors' access to its nuclear sites for 3 months. The announcement was made by the International Atomic Energy Agency chief Rafael Grossi at Vienna airport after a weekend trip to Iran. The IAEA chief confirmed that Tehran will continue the implementation of the Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement, its core obligations to the agency that allow for monitoring of the declared nuclear facilities. He further added that IAEA will also continue necessary verification and monitoring activities for up to 3 months.
In the first place, we reconfirmed that Iran will continue to implement the Comprehensive Safeguards Agreement without any limitation, as they have been doing so far. In the second place, we agreed that in view of the law, and in particular the provision that establishes limitations, we reached a temporary bilateral technical understanding whereby the agency is going to continue its necessary verification and monitoring activities for a period of up to 3 months.
Well, during his Tehran visit, the IAEA chief met with Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif and the head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization, Ali Akbar Salehi. Grossi was in Tehran to discuss the agency's essential verification activities. Iran has been gradually breaching terms of a 2015 nuclear pact with world powers since the United States, under former President Donald Trump, withdrew in 2018 and reimposed sanctions. Iran says it will not reverse the measures unless the US fully complies with the 2015 deal. But US President Joe Biden has said that Iran must do so first. Since the IAEA has 3 months to continue the necessary verification and monitoring activities, Washington and Tehran now have more time to seek a compromise. The crisis over Iran's nuclear program has been on the international agenda for almost 20 years. Iran says its atomic program is for peaceful purposes, while the US and others suspect Iran is secretly seeking the capability to develop nuclear weapons. On to international COVID stories and updates from across the world. A quick look at COVID-19 pandemic across the world on how the numbers are. As of now, more than 11 crore and 19 lakh coronavirus cases being reported worldwide. Global death toll due to COVID-19 now crossing 24 lakh and standing at 24 lakh 78,000. Over 8 crore 73 lakh people also recovering from COVID-19. United States continues to remain the worst affected country by the pandemic, reporting over 2 crore 87 lakh cases of the virus, with the death toll surging past 5 lakh 11,000. Well, Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson will outline the COVID-19 lockdown review in Parliament today, as the UK government readies to announce a gradual easing of its third lockdown. On Sunday, it vowed to offer first dose of COVID-19 vaccines to all the adults by July end. Boris Johnson's cabinet is expected to endorse the reopening of schools on the 8th of March. However, the full reopening of retail and pubs, as well as attendance at sporting events, are expected to be delayed until later. Care home visits indoors may resume and residents may be allowed to hold hands with visitors. Rules on socializing in a public space will be relaxed. The UK has so far reported over 41 lakh 15,500 cases, and the deadly coronavirus has claimed as many as 1,20,580 deaths in the country. Well, dozens of residents of San Francisco waited in queue there for hours outside the Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, where vaccines are being administered to individuals over age 65 through 23rd of February. On the outskirts of San Diego, that's the place, rural residents visited at 41 vaccine sites aimed at more people who live further away from the metro hub. The vaccination sites for the rural communities are being organized by Cal Fire and the local fire stations. Well, Israel reopened swaths of its economy, including malls and leisure facilities, on Sunday, with the government saying the start of a return to routine was enabled by COVID-19 vaccines. And COVID-19 vaccines administered to almost half the population. Shops were open to all, but access to gyms, hotels and theatres was limited to people with a green pass. Those who have had both doses of the vaccine more than a week prior or recovered from the disease with presumable immunity. Pass holders could prove their status by presenting a vaccination certificate or downloading a Health Ministry app linked to their medical files. Well, coming exactly a year after Israel's first documented thing there, so clearly setting the house in order there, Israel especially planning to open up the economy more widely next month when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is up for re-election. Well, now moving to our next story, Gaza received 20,000 doses of Russia's Sputnik 5 COVID-19 vaccine from the United Arab Emirates on Sunday, a move secured by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas's rival, Mahmoud Dalhan, who's based in the Gulf state. Gaza health officials said that they would begin vaccination on Monday with priority to medical workers and those with chronic diseases. Many patients were contacted in advance and asked to give their consent if they would be willing to take the dose. The step by Dalhan, whom Abbas has dismissed from his Fatah party a decade ago and forced into exile, was seen by analysts as an attempt to score points ahead of the planned Palestinian re-elections later this year. Well, Gaza, meanwhile, received its first shipment of 2,000 doses of Sputnik 5 on Wednesday, Feb 17, sent by Abbas's government after Israel approved the transfer through its border with the territory, which is controlled by the Palestinian leader, Islamist Hamas rival. Well, Gaza, home for 2 billion people, has registered more than 54,000 COVID-19 cases with 543 deaths. Well, on to sports news. Well, let's take a quick look at sports news there. In Ladakh, various programs were organized in Kargil in connection with the Ladakh Winter Festival 2021, which is going on simultaneously in both Leh and Kargil districts. Executive Councillor for Tourism N. Punsok Tashi was the chief guest for the opening program at Goshan Ice Hockey Rink. Appreciated the initiative of the Ladakh Tourism to call experts from the tour and travel industry there to experience the beauty of winter in Ladakh. He further added that after Ladakh, which became a union territory, has its own identity in the whole world and has provided ample opportunity to prove the potentials of Ladakh as a winter tourism destination. The event started with an exhibition ice hockey match at the world's coldest inhabited place, Dras, the snow walk by the famous Draupadi Kund Matayan, and the horse riding at Dras, as well as a guest paid tributes to the martyrs at the Kargil War Memorial in Dras. Anil K. Rajput, Joint Secretary, Association of Domestic Tour Operators of India, while talking on the occasion, said that Kargil has the potential to be the Switzerland of India, and the winter tourism, adventure, sports and other activities have great scope in Kargil. Well, Karnataka has been chosen as the host state for the upcoming edition of the Khelo India University Games. Khelo India University Games, which has been envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, will be conducted by the state government in association with the Jain University in Bangalore. Chief Minister B.S. Yedurappa thanked the centre for choosing Karnataka for Khelo India University Games.
We are thankful to the Government of India for choosing Karnataka as the best state for holding Khelo India University Games 2021. Bangalore is well equipped for this event, and we will all work towards making the dream of Honorable Prime Minister come true through Fit India and Mission Olympics campaign. Government of Karnataka is committed to promote sports at all levels.
Well, in the Australian Open, defending champion Novak Djokovic was in red-hot form as he thrashed Daniel Medvedev there. Let's take a look at that story. In the Australian Open, defending champion Novak Djokovic slammed his way past challenger Daniel Medvedev to win the first Grand Slam of the year. Novak Djokovic won in straight sets 7-5, 6-2, 6-2 to grab his 18th Grand Slam title. It is his 9th Australian Open win with cross-court moves and domination in serves. Novak Djokovic completely dominated the game as it reflected in the scoreline. With this particular victory that Nadal has, it's very clear that Novak closes on the all-time record set by Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. Well, Asian share markets inched up on Monday as expectations for faster economic growth and inflation globally battered bonds and boosted commodities, though rising real yields were making equity valuation look more stretched in comparison. MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan added 0.2% after slipping from a record top last week as they jump in US bond yields unsettled investors there. Japan's Nikkei recouped 1.0% and South Korea's 0.4%, but Chinese blue chips lost 1.2%. Well, tigers are ferocious and are known for their loud roar, but they have an adorable side too. This 8-month-old tiger named Sharon in Barnaul Zoo makes soft melody sounds to draw his mother's attention. The zoo officials say Sharon has been making such sounds ever since he was a cub. Well, a 5,000 square foot, 139-year-old San Francisco house became the talk of the town as it was loaded onto a flatbed truck and moved from the lot in Franklin Street to its new home a few blocks away on Fulton Street. Spectators turned out to cheer and capture the moment in camera as the house began its journey to its new location. At some points, construction workers had to cut back branches to ensure that the house could pass down some of the city's tree-lined streets. Well, we always wonder how flowers, which are one of the most beautiful creatures of nature, bloom to spread their hue and radiance. Cambridge University revealed a time-lapse recording showing a rare cactus moonflower blooming in its Bonn Botanic Garden. Originating from the Amazon, the flower is believed to be the first of its kind to bloom in the United Kingdom. Well, Jasmine Harrison set a new world record as the youngest female to complete a solo rowing across the Atlantic Ocean. The 21-year-old Harmison from North Yorkshire completed the approximately 4,828-kilometer journey from the Canary Islands in 70 days, 3 hours and 48 minutes as part of the Talisca Atlantic Challenge event that started in December last year. As many as 21 boats from around the world took part in this particular event. Well, moving to the health tip of the day, pregnancy is a sensitive period for the mother and the baby. Take a look at this report on the importance of planning a pregnancy.
The process of becoming a mother is a sensitive period for mother and the baby. For this, proper care and planning is needed. Pregnancy planning begins even before conception for many women.
Whenever you're planning your pregnancy, first of all, it should be a conscious decision on the part of the couple. You know that, okay, now we are ready mentally, physically, financially, emotionally to plan your pregnancy. And the first thing that you do is consult your doctor, consult your obstetrician. So there are some basic tests which should be done, basic things which should be ensured, which would include a detailed history taking about any genetic disorders in your family which needs to be, addressed.
Well, at this point of time, let's go across and listen to the key